Yesterday's tornadoes just the beginning. Fox 17 News in a code red weather alert as we keep a close eye on the next 36 hours.
Plus, policing the police. What's handcuffing community review boards?
Well, I'll tell you, man, I've been practicing law for almost 20 years, and this is ridiculous.
105 charges and still out on the streets. The accused rapist shining light on an even bigger issue. Fox 17 News at 9 starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
Fox 17 News in a Code Red weather alert as strong spring storms are firing up across Middle Tennessee. In fact, we're taking a live look right now through our city camera as all eyes are on the skies. Several schools already canceling classes tomorrow as we learn more about the threat for severe weather ahead.
Now this next round of storms comes as we learn yesterday's storms dropped 2 different tornadoes here on the mid-state. The National Weather Service confirming an EF1 tornado touched down in Smithville yesterday, doing this damage. Damaged a couple of homes for sure. That tornado on the ground for roughly 3 miles. It was 150 yards wide with winds reaching 100 miles an hour. Neighboring Wilson County had an EF0 tornado. It struck along Big Springs Road north of Old Rome Pike. And Fox 17's Chief Code Red meteorologist Katie Morgan told us about the threat yesterday and was on the air for a good bit of the afternoon warning people. And unfortunately, it looks like we may be doing more of the same tomorrow.
It's kind of coming in waves the way we're looking at it, and we do want to be aware as we head through the overnight tonight. There is a severe weather potential, especially along and north of 40 this evening. And then those storms are going to be marching more into Middle Tennessee by the time you're waking up tomorrow morning. So overnight tonight, everyone needs to stay weather aware. Now, again, the threat in the next few hours is going to be mainly north here in southern Kentucky. But I want everyone to be aware through the overnight tonight. There is a tornado watch here in yellow, and that is until 2 o'clock in the morning hours. As we take a look here, we have had tornadoes and storms firing up in the Ohio Valley this evening. In fact, active tornado warnings moving through outside of Columbus and through Cincinnati right now. And storms are firing up here along the Ohio River. And we expect them to continue to fire here as we head into western Kentucky and back into West Tennessee as we head through the evening hours and overnight tonight. Those are the storms that we're going to have to watch to move through part of our southern Kentucky counties through the overnight. I can't rule out a couple storms out ahead of that line as well throughout portions of Middle Tennessee. So we walk you through the next couple of hours. You can see that midnight here, we have a couple of those cells here out in front, but here's that bigger line that we're expecting to push through. Future Track actually has it slowing down a little bit. This is one of our short-term models that we use, and this one brings in that line a little bit closer to about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Notice as we head towards 6 a.m. and then closer to 9 a.m. in the morning, expecting those showers and thunderstorms around the I-40 corridor, including Nashville. What will likely happen here is this line will stall out, and then we'll begin to push northward as we head into Wednesday afternoon. These will all need to be monitored for severe potential, especially as we get into the afternoon hours here. Tornado potential would be possible, especially as we get again north of I-40 as we go into the afternoon on Wednesday. And that, unfortunately, is not even the main event that we are talking about. As far as temperatures go for tonight, we stay very mild, right around 70 or so. We're going to walk you through the timing for the main event, which won't occur until tomorrow this time, so about 24 hours from now. And that one, I'm afraid, is looking to be quite a setup for us as we head through the overnight into early Thursday morning. We'll walk you through timing coming up.
It is crazy that for so many years, hundreds of defendants have had their charges dismissed and dismissed and dismissed because they're not competent.
Tonight in Operation Crime and Justice, state lawmakers fed up with repeat offenders back out on our streets accused of committing even worse crimes. Carl Jerome Hamilton, for example, has more than 100 charges on his rap sheet, and now he's accused of raping an Amazon driver. Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller joining us live from the state capitol, where lawmakers say a lack of mental health hearings are playing a vital role here. Caitlin.
Yes, well, Representative William Lamberth says that we need to keep people who are deemed incompetent incarcerated so that we can get them the help that they need while they're in the facilities and not back on our streets causing more harm.
This is Carl Jerome Hamilton,
Metro Police say he has been charged with 105 offenses in Nashville since 2007, and most recently is accused of raping and kidnapping a female Amazon delivery worker inside a Nashville apartment mailroom.
If a person like this, who's a repeat violent felon, gets continued to get arrested and convicted over and over again, if a judge gives this person 6 years, they should serve every day of that 6 years.
The DA's office says Hamilton served 30% of his 6-year sentence, so he qualified for a release after 2 years behind bars. Fox 17 News followed up with the DA's office to see if this is common for someone with such an extensive criminal record. The DA's office responded saying part of the problem is Hamilton was deemed incompetent to stand trial on a series of misdemeanors. With no state funding to pay for mental evaluations for misdemeanors, their office is constitutionally bound to release him. That's why Lamberth sponsored a bill that passed last session requiring the state to pay for those exams.
Well, he identifies what their mental health issue is and then gets them the help that they need so that they are safe and that all the rest of us are as well.
And Lamberth sponsored another bill called Jillian's Law, requiring the criminal to stay incarcerated until they are deemed competent. Victim rights advocate Verna Wyatt says criminal justice reform is critical to prevent more innocent lives from falling victim.
You can have physical, financial, certainly emotional things, and that old life that you had, that you knew so well, that you were comfortable with, it's gone forever.
Representative Lamberth says that these policies will officially be active starting in July, but he says that there's still more to be done to keep these repeat violent offenders off of our streets. Reporting live from downtown, I'm Caitlin Miller, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
To see all of our stories on criminal justice reform, go to fox17.com and search repeat offender.
In your community tonight, our first look at the seeds a former juvenile delinquent turned country star is planting in the hearts of our next generation. Jelly Roll, who grew up in South Nashville, donated money to build 2 music studios inside Metro's Juvenile Detention Center.
There's a saying in Nashville, when words fail, music speaks. And Jelly Roll, who was in and out of Metro's Juvenile Detention Center as a teenager, is trying to throw the next generation a lifeline. He's giving them the tools to make music, and he's asking fellow musicians to help.
I never went through nothing that was as hard as the time I spent in this facility. And even if y'all didn't see it today instantly, those kids got a small slither of hope they've never had in their life today. And hope is the seed that grows into change.
Jelly Roll donated the money to buy the hardware, computers, keyboards, and microphones to make music inside Nashville's juvenile jail. And he's partnering with some local nonprofits to send other music pros in to write, produce, and perform with the kids here.
The boys are really receptive to it. It's a program that they look forward to every week. Every day we're getting asked the questions of, are the studio people coming today? What time are they coming?
He coming in, he teaching us how to produce, how to engineer.
This is one of those teens talking to the detention center's program director, Robert Flores, about the part of music making he's drawn to.
When I produce for other people and they write, it kind of makes me feel like from where I came from and just like how all our stories are kind of connected.
The hope is Jelly Roll's gesture will inspire a new chapter in some of these life stories that don't include incarceration.
Now, the Beat of Life is one of the charities that Jelly Roll is partnering with on this project. And the star says this is just the beginning. Jelly Roll says he also wants to help build transitional homes and preventative community centers, all in Nashville, all for at-risk youth.
Continuing coverage in the search for Sebastian Rogers, Sumner County deputies say a photo circulating on social media of a child out in North Carolina is not Sebastian. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office says that they worked with law enforcement in North Carolina to make that determination. The 15-year-old with autism vanished February 26th when his mother says that he walked away from his Shackle Island home in the middle of the night. There have been no confirmed sightings of that teen since, and the search continues.
In sports tonight, the Titans continue to build their new roster. The latest addition is another wide receiver. The Associated Press reporting former Bengals wideout Tyler Boyd signed a one-year free agent deal with the Titans that will pay him $4.5 million. New Titans head coach Brian Callahan, of course, worked with Boyd during his time with the Cincinnati Bengals. Boyd started 13 of the 17 games last season for the Bengals, hauling in 67 catches, 667 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Handcuffed when trying to police the police. The challenges that community review boards face tonight.
If we saw progress stall out, I would intervene at that point.
Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell on the future relationship between Metro Police and the city's Community Review Board. Critics say a new state law diminished the reach of community review boards, leaving them in limbo with very little authority.
Now, members of Metro's board tell us they have been hamstrung for months, getting limited response from Metro Police. But as Fox 17 News' Kelly Avellino shows us, they are not turning to an outside attorney for help.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
He's here. He's here. He's outside.
Who is outside, Michaela?
My ex. I have order of protection against him.
You're hearing some of the last words that Michaela Carter would ever speak. The 24-year-old's estranged husband shooting her dead in her own home, according to police, about 10 minutes after Metro officers left. Those officers telling Michaela they couldn't arrest James Leggett over threatening texts and calls. But Michaela had a protective order.
What's going on? Michaela, what's happening?
And those officers were found to be wrong. Metro Police's internal Office of Professional Accountability reported that one officer violated the department's policy, giving an inefficient performance.
Thank you.
Before last year, the city's previous Community Oversight Board would have been able to independently investigate what happened to Michaela, getting much of the police file. But a new state law restricts the scope of officer watchdog agencies in Tennessee. Metro's restructured Community Review Board has less ability to do its own vetting of allegations on officer misconduct or excessive force.
And what the board does get to see of Metro Police's internal investigation right now depends largely on MMPD's interpretation of the new law.
I think that there has to be a pathway for us to work together to do this work. And then also, if they don't want to cooperate, then what is the next step?
The board must now hand over all complaints to Metro Police first, and then wait on a summary of MMPD's findings after they close the case. It's also debated what police records, reports, and body cam video the board will be able to review because of a confidentiality change in the bill.
An investigation summary may include 1 to 6 or 7 pages. An investigative file, which is what the law says that we can have, could have 30, 40, 60, 70 pages.
So have you been getting the whole file?
No.
I got my hands on these citizen complaints investigated by Metro Police Internal Affairs. And I can tell you the summaries that they sent back to the Community Review Board are all about a paragraph long. Highlighted here, you can see they're much less than half a page.
It's pretty hard to review a summary. You really need the nitty-gritty of the investigation.
But some legal minds argue a simple written agreement between the board and police to keep the documents private can solve the problem, allowing the board access. But a meeting to hash out a memorandum of understanding between the board, the mayor, and Chief John Drake has been stalled for months.
We just need the mayor blessing that he stand behind this MOU.
Over the last year, I asked the mayor of Nashville 4 different times what access the Community Review Board will have to investigations over officer conduct. Here's what he told me just a couple weeks ago after he spoke to the Community Review Board publicly for the first time since that new law went into effect last summer. What access will the CRB have to those documents, to those police records?
So it is true, and I think Metro Legal is correct here. The state law had a material impact on some of the information that is obligated to be shared.
The previous MOU spelled it out that none of those documents would be shared publicly. So the question for the CRB is, can we just have that same clause in this MOU?
And I'm confident we will get to an outcome that is very similar to what we had in place previously.
Metro Police and city attorneys have repeatedly told Fox 17 News a memorandum of understanding would not supersede state law. Mayor Freddie O'Connell appearing to take a middle-of-the-road stance on the upcoming talks involving police transparency.
We are seeing progress, but if we saw progress stall out, I would intervene at that point.
This, as the Community Review Board has now hired its own outside attorneys.
The long-awaited meeting between the Community Review Board, the police chief, and the mayor still hasn't happened. I'm told it will in the next few weeks. I've been told that before. I can tell you that attorneys for both sides will be there. I'm Kelly Avellino for Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Our Code Red alert continues for tonight and really the next 36 hours as we track strong to severe thunderstorms across the area. Tonight, this is going to be a pretty isolated impact for the early overnight hours. As we get closer to dawn tomorrow morning, I think we will be looking at showers and storms through the metro Nashville area. But what we're watching tonight is this line up here. A lot of this is going to fire along or around the Ohio River, and then eventually will work its way into parts of southern Kentucky as we head through the overnight hours. There is that tornado watch in effect for tonight, but keep in mind tonight's impact is isolated. It's going to depend on where those storms fire, if and when they do decide to fire up. Still, it is a night that you want to make sure that you have your ways to stay alert. Wednesday morning, we will have a line of storms likely stall out around the I-40 corridor. Scattered storms will be around between morning and afternoon hours, with these mainly along I-40 and then lifting northward. And then Wednesday night after 5 p.m. through about 4 a.m. in the morning Thursday, that is really going to be our main event. So everything right now is sort of an appetizer, and tomorrow night is going to be the main course, if you will. Flood watch is in effect. In addition to all of our severe weather threats, there is an increasing risk for flooding around the area because we've had so much rain over the past few days in specific areas. So again, it's not going to be widespread, but we could easily pick up anywhere between 1, 2, almost 3 inches of rain in some spots. We add that on top of what we've already seen, and it could lead to some runoff. So let's talk more about tomorrow night. This is our impact right now for tomorrow evening. It is a level 3 out of 5, and it does include everyone in Middle Tennessee. And unfortunately, all modes of severe weather do look possible. The tornado potential, it looks possible for tomorrow night. As we go through the overnight, Future Track again painting a few of these showers and storms moving in a little bit later now, probably closer to 2, maybe 3 a.m. Possibly a cluster or 2 out ahead of that line. But as we get into tomorrow morning, I do think we see some showers along the I-40 corridor. It's not going to be widespread. You may or may not see rain tomorrow morning, but just know if you do, it could be heavy at times. The winds could be pretty gusty as well. Then we get into lunchtime. This line is going to need to be monitored pretty closely. I do think there's some severe potential here with this line, so we don't want to sleep on this one. Spinning potential, tornado potential, along with some gusts of wind and some pretty heavy rain. That pushes northward as we head into the afternoon hours here, and then we get into the early evening. This should be our main event. And the latest model coming in showing us around 6, 7 o'clock. This looks like a Boeing effect here, what's going on. So this would be straight line wind damage that's possible. In addition to that, any storm that's out ahead by itself would need to be monitored for tornado potential. And honestly, all modes of severe weather will be possible. So this is 8 o'clock in the evening. So timing is pushing up a little bit with this line here. By 8, 9, 10 p.m., you can see that line continues to sink south, but it's not moving very fast. So that's where I think our flooding potential may be increasing a little bit, in addition to the severe weather, which would be along the leading edge of the line. as we head through tomorrow night. Notice as we head towards midnight, we're still dealing with very active weather. A lot of heavy rain here. This would likely be severe as well, with wind in excess of 60 and the potential for some tornadoes. The rain continues through 2, 3 o'clock, but I'd say after 3 a.m., the majority of our severe weather threat begins to diminish. By 6 a.m. Thursday, we'll still have some scattered showers to our south, but we will be able to breathe a sigh of relief because our severe weather threat will be coming to an end. A lot to unpack. We'll talk more about some of these impacts that we could see, including spinning storms with this event tomorrow night. That's coming up.
Thank you, Katie, for the rundown there. And still to come tonight, working to squash growing hate. The president.com.
Vacation at home sale at Family Leisure. Unbeatable deals on patio furniture, pools, shade solutions, spas, and more. Vacation at home sale going on now at Family Leisure.
New tonight, President Biden strongly condemning anti-Semitism, and he made his message clear while delivering remarks at a Holocaust remembrance event in Washington.
Now, these comments come amid calls for the president to take a stronger stance on anti-Semitism. You've heard those calls. This as pro-Palestine protests continue on college campuses. Now, the Biden administration is behind several new actions to counter anti-Semitism. They include the Department of Education giving schools examples of anti-Semitism warranting an investigation, and Homeland Security sharing ways to battle targeted violence and terrorism. The State Department is also working with technology companies to curb anti-Semitism online.
There's no place on any campus in America, any place in America, for anti-Semitism or hate speech or threats of violence of any kind.
While President Biden has at times been critical of Israel's war on Hamas, he says the college protests will not weaken his support for a U.S. ally.
Well, pushing to keep out a gas plant, the issue fueling protests.
Washing. For a free quote, visit brownspresswashing.com today.
This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by B.F. Myers Furniture.
Why develop the area and risk all this pollution and make people move out of their homes?
Continuing coverage as voices against plans for a TVA natural gas power plant in Cheatham County get louder.
Now, if this project is allowed to go forward, it would impact hundreds of families on the outskirts of Ashland City. Fox 17 News' Kylie Walker with the very latest on their fight tonight from Centennial Park.
The rally for the Valley will be here at Centennial Park tomorrow afternoon, where we're expecting lots of people to just fill the park, all in protest of adding gas plants and pipelines to their backyard.
Concerns started this time last year when Cheatham County homeowners learned the Tennessee Valley Authority was looking at adding a 75-acre gas plant that would run straight through their community.
Who doesn't want this TVA generation site in Cheatham County? That's your answer. You're not welcome.
The fears range from the potential impact of home values to health and safety concerns, as the plant would be located near a stream where Pleasant View gets their drinking water.
In addition, we have concerns about air pollution from the particulate matters being put off from the exhaust from these plants.
And 15-year Cheatham County resident Stephanie Henry says she also worries about the potential for spills and explosions. Henry feels Wednesday's rally in Nashville will be a great time to voice some of these frustrations.
Just to show TVA how many folks are not only against this Cheatham plant, but against this gas build out, because they just really haven't done the legwork, in my opinion, to be able to show that this is going to be a beneficial thing.
We took these worries to Scott Brooks with the TVA.
We are going to be doing an extensive environmental review that will take into account all of those things that we're hearing from the community. That was the first step, which was, what do you want us to look at in this environmental review?
In a quarterly meeting, Brooks says there will be a listening session tomorrow where the TVA will hear from the community.
It's certainly fair to say that no decision has been made and will not be made until we complete this extensive process where we're looking at all the potential impacts.
Although although Brooks does say there's a lot of growth in Cheatham County that the TVA needs to keep up with.
Now that rally happening here at Centennial Park will be at 4:30. Again, this is tomorrow. Now it's going to come just after a TVA hosted listening session that you just heard me mention. That will be from 2 to 4 at Lipscomb University. For now, reporting in Nashville, Kylie Walker, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
A devastating scene out in northern Oklahoma after tornadoes ripped through several towns. Fox weather correspondent Robert Ray with the destruction and search and rescue efforts still continuing tonight.
It just hit all of a sudden. I felt pressure in my ears and it just got really, really loud.
This is the scene here in Barnsdall, Oklahoma, and you see we're on the outskirts of the town. Not allowed to go into the town because it is still a very fluid situation, so officials are keeping media at bay.
We're still looking for unaccounted people. We have those hazards, nails, debris, whatever you want to call it, it's there.
The toughest thing on me as the mayor is this is a small community. I know 75 to 80% of the people in this town. The individual that we lost, I knew him very well, and it's pretty tough.
This is just one area that is full of the destruction, the catastrophic destruction from this twister that came in last night in this tornado emergency. And you see some of the people that are trying to bring out some of the belongings here this morning. And all of this area just ravaged this town of about 1,000 people north of Tulsa. And you see, this is what we're dealing with here this morning. Aluminum just strewn everywhere. Preliminary EF3. It could be higher as National Weather Service will be out here.
We're alive.
We're alive.
We're alive. Thank God we're alive.
This is still a very fluid situation. It is very raw, guys. I am reporting on the ground here in Oklahoma. Robert Ray, Fox Weather.
And unfortunately, we're continuing to see tornado damage this evening in Michigan tonight, and tornado warnings have been active in the Ohio Valley. And those storms will continue to march south this evening. Could be after midnight before we see anything in our southern Kentucky counties, but it's still possible to see some storms, especially north of 40 for the overnight hours tonight, with the main event coming in tomorrow evening, this time tomorrow night. So ways you can be prepared. Of course, we want to make sure that you are ready and prepared, not scared. And the best way you can not be scared is to make sure you've got those things in place. A reliable weather app like our Fox 17 Code Red app. Have those wheel alerts turned on, and have a secondary source for weather information like a weather radio that gives you alerts as well in case for whatever reason your cell phone doesn't send you that alert. You want to make sure that you're staying in the know as much as possible. And again, that Fox 17 Code Red weather app is a great tool to have on hand. We are again looking at pretty isolated coverage as far as storms go from Clarksville, Nashville, and Crossville. This gives us an idea of storm intensity, and you can easily pick out where we're expecting the majority of our storms. They will not arrive until tomorrow after about 5 p.m. here in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. We'll talk more about some of the elements that these storms could bring, including rotation. We'll have a look at our rotation tracker and what it could look like for tomorrow coming up.
Gone are the days of guaranteed retirement benefits from the federal government. I'm Atrell Nashar with the new warnings about when Social Security and Medicare
at stake. And now enjoy breakfast till noon every day. Hardee's, goodness in the making.
Fox 17 News, Code Red Weather.
Your first line of defense when severe weather threatens.
In the economy tonight, the future of Social Security and Medicare completely up in the air, according to some new reports from the program's trustees.
And as Fox 17 News' Atra El-Nashar reports, experts warn current and future retirees could see their benefits slashed. By the way, as always, let us know what you think by scanning the QR code that will appear here shortly on the screen during this story.
Part of every paycheck goes to fund programs you expect to be there for you one day. Guaranteed health care and income when you retire. That's no longer a guarantee.
The government's two largest and arguably most important programs, certainly for seniors, are headed
towards insolvency.
Annual reports from Medicare and Social Security trustees estimate Medicare Part A will start running out of money in 12 years when today's 53-year-olds retire and the current youngest beneficiaries turn 77. As for Social Security, full benefits cannot be guaranteed to future and current retirees by 2033. Disability insurance is expected to see cuts in 2035. These are slight improvements from last year's estimates thanks to fewer disability claims and stronger than expected economic growth.
We're running out of time to deal with this. If we wait until the early 2030s to try to deal with it, the game is long over.
Charles Blahhouse, a former public trustee of Social Security and Medicare, says the U.S. got into this mess through decades of creating and increasing benefits without finding ways to pay for it.
I think it's fair to say this is a severe abdication of responsibility to the public.
So how does Washington fix this? There are a few options. None of them are painless.
There's probably going to need to be a combination of slowing the growth of benefits for higher income earners, raising the payroll tax cap and getting more revenues to the program, adjusting some of the calculations we have for the benefits, and raising the retirement age for younger workers.
The leading presidential candidates do not spend much time at all talking about this issue. We do know President Biden supports raising taxes on the wealthy and allowing the government to negotiate prescription drug prices. As for former President Trump, he said in a recent interview he does not support program cuts, but while in office, his proposed budgets did include cuts. In Washington, I'm Atrel Nashar. Well, during that story, we had a QR code linked up to this poll asking the question, do you expect to receive your full Social Security benefits when you retire? We've had almost 850 people weigh in, and 64.6% of respondents say no, they're not expecting to receive the full benefits, compared to 35.4% that say yes. And still to come tonight, setting up shop down on Lower Broadway, the new venture for country star Lainey Wilson.
Tell your story. I can help. Call us at 615-242-9000.
This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by Ponce Law.
Take a look at this. Country music golden lady Lainey Wilson is about to set up shop downtown.
Well, the singer opening up a brand new bar on Broadway. It's called Bell Bottoms Up, after the singer's famous love for sporting bell-bottom pants. Singer taking to social media to say that she can't wait for all of her wild horses, a nickname for her fans, to experience what she calls her home away from home. Wilson joins country stars Miranda Lambert and Tanya Tucker as one of just 3 women with bars on Broadway.
Now, you may be wondering exactly where is she moving in. You can see Miranda Lambert's location down here, Casa Rosa, both a restaurant and bar right on Broadway. And Tanya Tucker's brand new tequila cantina that just opened up last week, that is right here. And Lainey Wilson's Bell Bottoms Up bar is going to be just off of Broadway, right here on 3rd Avenue South. It's going to be right across the street from the Johnny Cash Museum and the Johnny Cash Bar and Barbecue Restaurant. Wilson's Bar is actually replacing Florida Georgia Line's FGL House. Bell Bottoms Up is set to open in the summer. Now, we want to know what you think. Do you visit one of the bars downtown on Broadway based on which artist's name is attached to it? You see our poll, 319 people weighing in. 38% say no, we don't do that. 6% say yes, we do exactly that. And 55.8% of the people responded say we don't go to Broadway. Poll's live right now. To cast your vote, you can scan the QR code right there on the right-hand side of your screen. It will connect you to our X page if you want to get there the old-fashioned way. Our handle is at Fox Nashville, and we will show updated results for you coming up tonight on Fox 17 News at 10.
We continue to follow a few thunderstorms overnight tonight. The bigger threat will be moving in tomorrow afternoon and then into the evening hours. Radar's been pretty quiet so far, and again, wasn't expecting widespread severe weather today, but really even haven't had too much at all to worry about, which is good news. But we continue to watch this line here that is trying to form just off to our north and to our west. This would be what we need to watch for, mainly in southern Kentucky, which will probably not develop now until maybe after midnight. So it will be a very long overnight as far as storm development is concerned. And I do think that the tornado watch, which remains in effect until 2 a.m. here in southern Kentucky, we will have at least a few thunderstorms through the overnight, and a good idea for everyone just to make sure that you're staying alert as we head through the overnight hours. But again, by tomorrow midday, I think that's really going to be the timing that we want to make sure that we are staying aware. Now, in addition to that, tomorrow morning, we are looking at the potential for some showers and thunderstorms. It shouldn't be raining all morning, but that chance will definitely be there. And I think heavy rain actually may play a role tomorrow morning in our weather. Then as we get into the late morning and more so into the middle of the day, that'll be the time frame that again we start looking for severe potential to ramp up again. So timing, and this should actually be for tomorrow night. Timing is going to be tomorrow after about 6 p.m. And what we want to look for here is the showers and storms that are marching through that could provide us with all modes of severe weather. So with that in mind, there is an elevated tornado risk as we head into tomorrow evening. And I want to sort of break down what this graphic is showing here. This is giving us a probability of a tornado. It's a probability of a tornado within 25 miles of a point. So everywhere in yellow here is a 10% risk. 5 is in brown, and green is the 5%, or 2%, I should say. So 25 miles of a point. So within a point here, within a 25-mile radius, there is a 10% chance of a tornado. So that's the way you want to look at it. Still, this is a pretty decent chance for a tornado as we head through tomorrow evening and into early Thursday morning, but it's looking like it's going to be more so late Wednesday night after dinner time. So one of our other products that we have here is called our risk of rotation, and these will show us areas that have potential for spin in our storms in the next 24 hours. So let's walk through tonight. Notice that we're not seeing too much through tomorrow morning. Again, isolated activity expected. After lunchtime, there is a boundary that is likely going to stall over I-40. It will begin to lift northward here. Watch what happens as we head into the early afternoon hours. These storms here will likely fire along that boundary as it's pushing north back into southern Kentucky. And usually along that boundary, we have the potential for rotating storms. We get into the evening, and this is where we will start to see the better risk of rotating storms. That continues as we go through the evening hours on Wednesday. This is 8 p.m. Now, what I want you to take away from this is that if you do or don't see your town over one of these stripes, or maybe you don't see a stripe there, don't take it for what you're seeing as 100% gospel. This is just giving us an idea where the atmosphere will likely bring in some decent rotation for tomorrow. And notice it really is through all of Middle Tennessee as we go through tomorrow night and into early Thursday morning, and it goes all the way through 4 a.m. So case in point, tomorrow night still looking like a pretty good bet that we're going to see a pretty active evening. Temperatures do cool off quite a bit though as we head towards the weekend. So one active day to get through, and we're rewarded with a very nice weekend.
This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by U.S. Pest Protection. This Fox 17 This Morning newscast is sponsored by Zander Insurance.
Making headlines tonight, former adult film star Stormy Daniels testifying today during former President Donald Trump's hush money trial.
Now, Fox 17 News' Christine Frizzell is going to explain exactly what Daniels shared and also how Mr. Trump explains the money that Daniels received.
Face to face in a New York City courtroom, former adult film star Stormy Daniels recounts initially refusing Donald Trump's invitation to dinner, later changing her mind. It was her accusations of an affair with Trump in 2006, followed by a $130,000 hush money payment 10 years later, just before the 2016 election, that are in some ways at the heart of the current case against him.
The primary reason I think she was there as a witness was to say the former president had a significant motivation to keep her quiet, to pay her the $130,000 so that she remained quiet or hushed.
Daniels recounted coming out of the bathroom after their dinner to find him posing on the bed in his boxers, saying he was bigger and blocking the way, adding, "I was not threatened verbally or physically." Trump described as increasingly irritated as Daniels gave explicit testimony about a sexual encounter that followed, details objected to multiple times by Trump's attorneys, objections often supported by Judge Juan Marchand. Trump has repeatedly denied any sexual encounter ever happened, His attorney Todd Blanche now calling for a mistrial.
Well, a mistrial means you start all over. It means that this was so prejudicial. What the Trump team is saying that, look, she's talking about a lot of details about this relationship, some of which are new we haven't heard before.
The request for mistrial was denied as the former president continues to make the case any payments made were not illegal.
We didn't put it down as construction costs, the purchase of sheetrock, the electrical cost. The legal expense that we paid was put down as legal expense. There's nothing else you could say.
Prosecutors say they believe there will be 2 to 3 weeks left in this case, which will almost certainly include testimony from Donald Trump's former lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzau.
Music making a big impact. How one Tennessee teacher says music education benefits the entire school.
Weather app now. Weather comes at you fast. Get the information you need and keep safe. Stay ahead of the weather. Download the Fox 17 News Code Red weather app now.
In your community tonight, some Middle Tennessee teachers recognized by the Country Music Association Foundation.
Well, the organization naming several local music education teachers of excellence award winners. The music teachers chosen for consistently going above and beyond for their students and helping to remove barriers to music education. Tennessee teachers make up 20 of the 30 educators recognized nationwide. Cane Ridge High School's band director, Johnny Croft, is one of them. Croft has been asked to lead his band students in a special appearance at the CMA Fest next month.
This is Fox 17 News at 10, your Code Red station.
Fox 17 News at 10 begins with a Code Red weather alert. Our severe weather threat level moves to a 3 out of 5 tomorrow.
Well, all modes of severe weather will be possible, including strong winds and the chance for strong tornadoes. Fox 17 Code Red Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan here in studio tonight, tracking what you need to know before that main event arrives.
Yeah, up until now, things have been pretty isolated. I think we've been lucky. We haven't seen too much activity. Although today and even overnight tonight is sort of our appetizer until we get to tomorrow. And tomorrow evening is going to be, unfortunately, the main event that we're looking at here. For the rest of this evening, here's what you need to know. Isolated strong storms are still possible. I think that threat is mainly going to be in southern Kentucky and especially along and north of I-40. There will be some showers and storms by tomorrow morning along the I-40 corridor as well. And those will need to be monitored, but I think the overall severe weather threat will begin to ramp up again as we get into the afternoon. Tornado watch is in effect here for our southern Kentucky counties. That is until 2 a.m. So tonight, a lot of the action has been in the Ohio Valley this evening. In fact, up in Michigan, there were quite a few strong tornadoes. And now we're starting to see a line here try to develop. It's really trying to get its act together here around the Ohio River. We will watch that line as we go through the overnight tonight. That would be the one that could potentially impact southern Kentucky as we go through the overnight hours here. So future track here, painting a few showers to our west. We have no activity at this point here, so it's been struggling to really pick up on what's going on. But I do still think as we head closer to tomorrow morning, we are looking at a few showers and thunderstorms possible here. That'll be with us for the morning hours. As we get into the mid to late morning, we will start to see this line lift northward. So by 2 p.m. here, these will all need to be watched for severe potential as this line starts to drift northward. And then later in the evening will be the time frame that we need to watch for that main event to arrive. So again, all this stuff is sort of appetizer for tomorrow evening's event. We'll talk more about the timing for tomorrow night. That coming up.
If we know they're not competent and they're dangerous, let's do something about it, and that's what we did this year.
Operation Crime and Justice, a continued call for action as we see repeat offenders committing more violent crimes.
Carl Jerome Hamilton has more than 100 criminal charges in Nashville, and now he's accused of raping an Amazon driver. Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller joining us live from the state capitol with more on what lawmakers are doing. Caitlin?
Yes, well, Representative William Lamberth says it's really important for criminals to get the proper mental health treatment. He says that's both for felons and for people with misdemeanor offenses. Representative Lamberth says that this is critical for the safety of our community. Metro Police say that Carl Jerome Hamilton has been charged with 105 offenses in Nashville since 2007, and most recently is accused of raping and kidnapping a female Amazon delivery worker inside of a Nashville apartment mailroom. The DA's office told Fox 17 News that Hamilton was deemed incompetent to stand trial on a series of misdemeanors. And they add, with no state funding to pay for mental evaluations for misdemeanors, their office is constitutionally bound to release him.
It is crazy that for so many years, hundreds of defendants have had their charges dismissed and dismissed and dismissed because they're not competent.
Representative Lamberth says it's time for this to end. And Representative Lamberth says that these policies will go into effect starting in July, but he says that there's still a lot to be done to keep these repeat violent offenders off of our streets. Reporting live from downtown, I'm Caitlin Miller, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
It's certainly fair to say that no decision has been made and will not be made until we complete this extensive process where we're looking at all the potential impacts.
Continuing coverage as Cheatham County homeowners ramping up their efforts to stop a proposed TVA gas plant from being built in their backyard. The controversy started last year when residents learned the Tennessee Valley Authority was looking to add a 75-acre gas plant. While TVA says the agency needs the plant to keep up with growth, homeowners worry about the potential health and safety issues.
In addition, we have concerns about air pollution from the particulate matters being put off from the exhaust from these plants. Several areas around have what we call century farms that have been in people's families for hundreds of years.
We are going to be doing an extensive environmental review that will take into account all of those things that we're hearing from the community. That was the first step, which was, what do you want us to look at in this environmental review?
Well, the TVA will hold a listening session tomorrow from 2 to 4 at Lipscomb University, and that will be followed by a protest against the plant at Centennial Park. It's expected to start at 4:30.
Looking ahead to tomorrow now, the story of a Rutherford County family frustrated with the Tennessee Department of Children's Services. Here's why. The family fostered a couple of young boys and grew to love them. They understood the goal of the state is to reunite those children with their birth parents, but they say both boys were better off in their care. The couple says DCS abruptly removed the children from their home, and they're worried about the children's safety, and they are fighting to regain custody.
Yeah, that's one thing that we did was we didn't see them as guests in our home. We saw them as our boys. Anything and everything that they needed, we gave it to them. You get to know them and realize that nobody's really cared enough.
Tough story, so emotional. Wednesday on Fox 17 News at 9, our Amanda Chen digs into this couple's concerns and why some believe Tennessee's foster care system needs reform.
New tonight, country music star Lainey Wilson joining the likes of Miranda Lambert, Tanya Tucker, opening her own bar in downtown Nashville. It's called Bell Bottoms Up. Miranda Lambert is Casa Rosa, and that sits on Broadway, and Tequila Cantina, that's Tanya Tucker's. It just opened up the last week on the second floor of Nudie. So here they are, all three in pretty close proximity to each other. Now, Lainey Wilson's new bar, it's going to sit right off Broadway here on 3rd Avenue South. It will be replacing Florida Georgia Line's FGL House. Bell Bottoms Up is set to open up this summer. Well, earlier in the newscast, we told you about our X poll. Goes hand in hand with the story, asking, do you visit Broadway bars based on which artist's name is attached to it? And we've had 334 votes that have come in, and most people, 56% of respondents say, I don't even go to Broadway. 6% say yes, they go to bars based on whose bar it is. 38% say no. Each night, look for a brand new poll on our X page that you can participate in.
I'm Keela Gapp from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
Tomorrow at 6 on Fox 17. This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by Tennessee Homebuyers.
Making headlines tonight after the Nazis killed 6 million Jews, much of the world vowed to never let it happen again.
And as Fox 17 News' Kayla Gaskin shows us, President Biden used his Holocaust Remembrance Day speech to address the problem of rising anti-Semitism.
During Tuesday's event, meant to commemorate the tragedy of the Holocaust, President Biden addressing a new wound for the Jewish people, Hamas's attack on October 7th. The deadliest day for Jews since the Nazis controlled Germany.
We're already forgetting that Hamas unleashed this terror.
Condemning what he called a ferocious rise in hatred against Jews in America. Hatred that's seeped into protests on college campuses.
Anti-Semitic posters, slogans, calling for the annihilation of Israel. It's absolutely despicable, and it must stop.
Making a call for law and order.
Violent attacks, destroying property is not peaceful protest. It's against the law. And we are not a lawless country.
On Tuesday, the president announcing new actions by his administration to combat the issue. The Department of Education issuing new guidance to schools and universities as to what counts as anti-Semitic discrimination. Federal agencies elevating efforts to address community-based violence. Like the vandalism experienced by this Jewish shop owner in Baltimore.
So it looks like they tried to put the beginning with the swastika. They did one side.
Or the 50 gravestones destroyed and damaged in a Jewish cemetery in Rotterdam, New York. Biden's speech Tuesday comes amid mounting criticism from all sides. For some Republicans, the rebuke wasn't quick enough.
What's not clear is why it took so long for President Biden to come to a microphone and condemn anti-Semitism. The reason, in part, is because his base refuses to let him do so.
Progressive Democrats increasingly side against Israel, but Biden says his support of the Jewish state will never waver. On Wednesday, the House Committee on Education and the Workforce will hold a hearing to investigate anti-Semitism in K-12 schools. On Capitol Hill, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Just ahead, tornadoes devastate communities in the central part of the U.S. How survivors tonight are staying hopeful.
Or ask how to save $1,000 over T-Mobile in your first year when you add mobile. Switch today.
DCS failing to protect foster children. A foster families fight Wednesday at 9.
Strong storms blasting parts of the Great Plains with wicked weather that included tornadoes that destroyed both homes and businesses.
Lauren Henry spoke with some of those survivors as they share what's giving them hope amid this disaster.
I'm here in Barnsdall, and as you can see, just destruction all around from last night's tornado that ripped through this town. I spoke with a family earlier today who told me that as they were sheltering in place, they could feel their home being lifted up off of the foundation, and the only thought in their minds was just praying for it all to be over soon.
I was just outright praying and screaming for God to protect us. My girls were just saying, "I love you, Mom. I love you, Mom. I love you, Mom." And I was just holding them tight.
Insulation and debris litter the Dyer family home after a tornado ripped through the town of Barnsdall, destroying much of the house that the 8 of them were taking shelter in.
We couldn't catch our breath, and as we sat there, it felt like an elevator. When you're in an elevator and it starts to lift, the suction was so much that all this glass and debris was coming under the door, hitting our feet.
Bo Dyer shared that he barely made it to safety before the tornado hit, recounting how he ran inside and took cover in the kitchen by lying on the ground.
I was scared. I've never been that scared in my life. I'm a veteran, served 8 years in the military. I've never been so scared in my life. Until last night.
Just a few miles up the street at the Lighthouse Family Worship Center, survivors gather for food, water, and shelter as they are reminded of the storm's destruction.
I've never been scared until last night. And when the windows started crashing in, you could feel the house move.
Schmidt is one of the many survivors in Barnsdall, unsure of their next move. As she worries about when she will be able to do her next dialysis treatment, she explained that she has faith that everything will be okay.
I do dialysis at night at home, and that takes electricity. We don't have it yet, and it might be a while. I know the Lord will take care of us.
And the cleanup efforts are well underway as Barnsdall and surrounding communities work to rebuild what was lost to last night's storm. Reporting in Barnsdall, Lauren Henry.
Our code red alert continues as we head through the overnight tonight. Storms will be pretty isolated as we head through the overnight hours into tomorrow morning and even through midday. Not everybody will see storms here. That's what we're expecting for the next, I would say, at least 12 hours before we really start to see the better threat for severe weather increase again. Now, remember, there is a tornado watch in effect right now through 2 a.m. for folks in southern Kentucky. But again, should be isolated as we head through the overnight. Still, you want to have those ways to stay alert as we head through tomorrow morning. As we get into tomorrow evening, that is going to be the time frame that we're really looking for the potential for widespread impacts across Middle Tennessee. In addition to our severe weather threat, I do want to mention too our flood watch that's in effect. Increasingly concerned here with the potential for flash flooding in specific areas, or depending on where we have those heavy pockets of rain set up. This is through Thursday morning. Close to 4 inches in some spots. It's going to be isolated where we see those heavy pockets, but where we do, it'll easily lead to runoff as far as flash flooding is concerned. So want to keep an eye on that. Here's our outlook for tomorrow. A level 3 out of 5. All modes of severe weather do appear possible, and it does include an enhanced tornado risk with these storms going through the day tomorrow. As we go through the overnight, Future Track still trying to bring in a shower or two. These will need to be monitored. We will keep an eye on them through the overnight. Have your ways to stay alert, but I do think that our coverage should be relatively isolated through the morning hours here. We have a cap on right now. We call it our cap of lots of instability right now, and if we didn't have that cap, these storms would be firing everywhere. But thankfully the cap has been on, or the lid has been held on, and it's keeping a lot of the storms under wraps for tonight. I don't think that's going to be the case tomorrow evening. In fact, tomorrow afternoon here, the potential for some severe weather before the main event along the warm front as it lifts northward. The warm front is notorious for severe weather, and I do think that it'll be possible for us to see all modes of severe weather out of anything that fires along that warm front. So mid-afternoon tomorrow, lunchtime and on, we'll need to keep an eye on things, especially along and north of 40. Then we get into about 6 p.m. Here comes the main line. It is speeding up a little bit, expecting it around 5-6 o'clock in the evening. Damaging wind gusts along with tornado potential will be there. This is at 8 p.m. And then as we get into the evening hours here, this continues to just move rather slowly through the area. Along the leading edge is going to be the main concern for severe weather. Behind that, I think we're looking at some pretty heavy rainfall, and that's where our flash flooding threat will probably increase. So even though the severe line will push through that leading edge, the flash flood threat will remain for much of the evening. This is 12 midnight. And then notice as we head towards about 2-3 a.m., we finally begin to quiet down as far as severe weather goes, but we will still have the potential for rain, I'd say, through the morning commute on Thursday. Thursday mid-morning, showers will be moving out, and we can all breathe a sigh of relief as our severe weather threat comes to a close for Thursday. The good news is, although we are looking at a very active day tomorrow, we're rewarded with a pretty nice weekend. This is even, I think, unusual for May to see temperatures as cool as they will be, as dry as it will be this weekend. A very comfortable Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which does include steeplechase on Saturday, and Mother's Day Monday. Temperatures in the upper 70s with mainly sunny skies.
I'm Janae Bones in Washington.
For a quote today, you're in good hands with Allstate.
This Fox 17 newscast is sponsored by Ponce Law.
Continuing coverage tonight as Columbia University joins the University of Southern California in canceling its main commencement ceremony because of Israel-Hamas protests.
Fox 17 News' Janae Bowens examines the impact this is having on students.
Protests over the Israel-Hamas war have led to destruction, arrests, and canceled graduations on college campuses.
They announced that they were canceling our university-wide portion of the graduation as a result of not being able to maintain security on campus.
Grayson Wolf with conservative college watchdog group Campus Reform is a senior at the University of Southern California. He missed out on a normal high school graduation in 2020 because of COVID. And he's now missing out on a normal college graduation.
Class of 2024 was expecting business as usual when it came to our graduation ceremonies, but these protesters have not allowed that.
Leading up to USC's decision, another controversy.
They selected a pro-Palestinian valedictorian, and that was met with a lot of backlash, and then they decided that the valedictorian wasn't going to speak at the university-wide graduation.
And the political implications of all that's happening on college campuses is gaining a bigger focus.
For young people, this is a defining issue, like the anti-Vietnam War protests were, like the anti-apartheid protests were, like the anti-Iraq War protests were, and that we need to really listen to them and bring this war to an end, or we're hurting our standing with many young people around the country.
Sergeant Betsy Smith with the National Police Association says it's a delicate balance.
Speaking out against anything, no matter how abhorrent the rest of us find it, is your constitutional right. But they should not be allowed to disrupt graduation ceremonies.
A complicated situation leading to even more unexpected circumstances.
Normal is not in the dictionary for the class of 2024. They don't care how much it disrupts everyday life by any means necessary. They want universities to take a stand.
USC will have smaller graduation events instead of their main ceremony, which usually brings about 65,000 people to campus. They'll also have individual school commencement ceremonies. All of that kicks off this week. I'm Janae Bowens reporting.
It is a newer type of therapy to treat cancer. I'm Liz Bonus. Meet a family grateful it saved a child's life. We share the story just ahead.
Hey there, I'm Fox 17 News This Morning anchor Erica Glover. Scientists say a warming planet means more rainfall. And while, yes, plants need rain to grow, some farmers say they're seeing too much of a good thing. So we're going to talk about how the weather could impact the produce aisle Wednesday on Fox 17 News This Morning. Can't wait to see you then.
That's a different story. With the Chase Ink card, we got up and running in no time.
Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase with the Chase Ink Business Unlimited card from Chase for Business.
In health news, a Tennessee family delivers a big thank you today to the medical team that helped to save their son's life.
Well, Fox 17 medical reporter Liz Bonus shares how a breakthrough called proton therapy helped him recover from a brain tumor.
Hey there, everybody. Hello to you. Proton therapy uses a beam of protons to treat certain types of cancer. It minimizes the risks to surrounding tissue, which is especially critical for children.
Well, it was really just pretty severe headaches.
Atticus Schoonover and his mom Maria found out Atticus needed this proton therapy. When at age 9, images led to this diagnosis from their pediatrician in Tennessee.
And he just said, "I am so sorry, but there is a large tumor in Atticus's brain."
Since the Schoonovers didn't have the proton therapy in their area, they made the decision to bring Atticus here to Ohio's Cincinnati Children's Hospital. The hospital provided this video.
There are about 40 or so proton centers in the United States. Cincinnati is one of the only ones that has a dedicated research gantry which we can do research on. So not only are we using cutting edge technology currently to treat tumors, we're also studying how we can make that better.
So as these photos show, Atticus bravely took on this therapy for several weeks before going through chemotherapy. Proton therapy works by extracting positively charged protons from hydrogen gas. It then accelerates them through the cyclotron at up to nearly 2/3 the speed of light. The protons are guided to the tumor site by powerful magnetic and electrical fields.
It worked fantastic. It was great.
Well, Atticus says the time in the hospital was not easy. The team here, his family says,
they did everything that they could to try to bond and connect with Atticus on various aspects that brought him joy.
The most amazing part is that Atticus is now 12 and has no cognitive deficits.
Going pretty well, straight A's.
There's also no apparent cancer present. He now gets regular follow-up screenings, but his family says they could not be more grateful to this team and the technology that helped save his life. With your health news, I'm Liz Bonus reporting.
All right, get us ready for the night ahead, tomorrow, very active weather day.
All the things. Tonight, things are going to be, I think, pretty isolated, but we do have a tornado watch. It's in effect in southern Kentucky for now, and you can see